What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut, and this is another episode of Lawns Across America. Today, I'm talking to an entrepreneur who is into the robotic mower business. His name is Matt, the Mower Guy, and he is using the power of TikTok to build and break new ground, again, with these robotic mowers. If you're a professional out there and you happen to be listening to this, I don't talk to you guys very often, but this does cross over. I hear a lot of you all that are talking about that you don't like the battery-powered mowers. You're going to stick with gas-powered mowers until the day you die and all of these things. And I'll tell you that the threat to your business is not the battery. The threat to your business is actually the robotic mower. And so if you want to know what is ahead, if you want to know where the early adopters are, and if you want to know where the biggest businesses are going to be in the next 10 years, they're going to be those built around robotic mowers. And you can take that from me, somebody that is a silent observer on the outside, don't talk to pros very much, but I still do have very big opinions based on what I see and trends that I see in the marketplace. And so when Brett said, hey, this guy called Matt the Mower Guy is coming in town, because Brett is into these types of mowers as well, he said, let's have him on the podcast. I said, that's a great idea. And I'll be honest with you, I was not expecting what we got. Ended up being a great interview, and hopefully you'll be inspired. So with that, let's get right into our interview with Matt the Mower Guy. Matt the Mower Guy, welcome. Now, we haven't done any talking ahead of this. I have no idea really, except I've been on your TikTok a little bit here and there. So I'm excited to hear about you, and you're an entrepreneur. That's why I have you here. And you're an entrepreneur in the lawn space, which is definitely why we have you here. So Matt the Mower Guy, tell us about yourself. What do you do?
Well, that's kind of simple. They call me Matt the Mower Guy. What my company does is we sell, install, repair, maintain robotic lawnmower systems. I always tell everyone, I don't work for a single manufacturer. We're just a bunch of robotic lawnmower experts.
Okay, so if I'm your customer, I'm a residential home. Is that your main customer, is residential? Or are you going commercial too?
Yeah, we have a little bit of everything, a little bit of government, a little bit of commercial, a little bit of residential. Right now, by far, residential is the biggest, but without a doubt in my mind, commercial is going to overtake it probably next year.
So right now, which segment is growing fastest?
It has been residential for years, but what is in the pipeline for sales, commercial is going to jump over top of all residential just because of the sheer size of the property.
Right. So we've actually talked about this recently. We did a podcast not too long ago. When did we do that? After GIE last year?
Yeah, we talked all about
what
our thoughts were from
we went to GIE last year. You were there, right?
Yep.
And our thoughts from GIE were, number one, electric is getting big, and number two, robotic is getting big. And so we actually talked about, we painted scenarios, right? And one scenario that we thought would be blowing up in the next little bit was commercial for units like this, right?
Yes.
So these big commercial properties like here where we're constantly doing Zoom calls and stuff like that, where I don't want a loud, noisy lawnmower buzzing back and forth by my window. So I could see commercial blowing up with robotic stuff.
Oh yeah, and it's beyond just the noise. And what's funny is, like, because I'm around the robots so much, I don't think about the noise until I hear a regular lawnmower way off in the distance, and I can still hear it, and it's like 300 yards away, 400 yards away, and I can still hear it
Right.
going.
It's amazing because we could have a robot mower going in here right now, and you wouldn't be able to tell.
No, not at all. They're dead silent when you turn them on. When they start impacting grass, we describe it like a human hum. It's about 58 decibels. You'll hear this. It'll sound like and about that loud too.
It's awesome.
So with commercial being where you see as the biggest, but right now residential, you say makes up the majority of your business. So I want to go back into the entrepreneurial side of it. Like, what did you do in college, or did you go to college, and why did you decide to be the source for, I guess, homeowners that, let me just say this, the way I look at your business model is if I'm a homeowner and I really want this technology, it's right now there's too many barriers to entry for me to install it myself. Not me, Alan Hain, but 99% of people.
Especially the target customer for a
most
robot
people
mower,
don't even sharpen the mower blade on their current mower, so they're just not going to do it. So you break down all the barriers to entry. You're almost like if I'm going to get a cell phone, but I'm going to get a mower. So tell me about that business model. Where'd you come up with this?
So what I did was I just kept telling myself, kiss it, kiss it, kiss it, keep it short and simple. So when it comes down to like funneling in a residential customer, the first thing that we really want to do is we want to put boots on ground and just walk their property even before they make a purchase. That way they make A, the right purchase, but B, they already have a plan in their head that they can envision. They can envision where the charging station is. They can envision how is it going to cross over the sidewalk, or am I going to set it over in this secondary working area, so on and so forth. And then you were touching base a little bit with, forgive me, it was...
Well, I'm concerned about, I want to know about the business model. So, and we'll get into, and this is good, what you're doing for the customer. Like I said, I can understand that, again, most people in the world, they think a robot mower is cool for whatever reasons. It's quiet, it's environmentally friendly, they like the cut, they want to go, whatever reason they like it, because there's a lot of reasons to like them. But my thing is, they're not going to do it themselves because they have to bury or wire or whatever it is. They're just not going to do it. People don't change the oil in their own car anymore. So I think, to me, the reason you're successful, if you are, which I'm going to ask you some pretty big questions, and you can tell me if I go too deep. I'm sorry. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm endlessly curious about what you're doing because I think it's awesome. So, like I said, if you're going to solve all of that for me, then I'm going to call you. So again, why did you start this? What did you do? Did you see a need?
So actually, are you asking like how did I end up with robotic?
Why are you doing
mowers?
this and you're not a plumber or whatever?
Yeah, how did you?
Now you got a good question going. I like this. Okay, I got you.
Okay.
This is my background. Yes, I did go to college. I'm sitting on top of about 140 credit hours, give or take. Never applied for any of my degrees. Ended up entering the workforce, needed a temporary job. Already had one lined out with a Fortune 100. Took a temporary job, and they just kept promoting me, and it was marketing and sales. I got to a certain point that I knew I was successful there, but I wanted to break away and start my own thing again. So I broke away, moved back to Ohio to be closer to family, and I started working with smart home automation. We had contracts on every single large player, Google, Nest, Vivint Smart Home, you name it, we had a contract on them. The problem with smart home automation, though, is there's too many moving parts, too many contracts are bought and sold. So it's like Ring, and then Ring gets bought out by Amazon. And
you're in that ecosystem, and now it doesn't talk to everybody else. And
it starts getting really complex. And I looked up, and we had 1.7 million SKU. When you have 1.7 million individual parts and pieces to choose from to build somebody's smart home,
how do you even?
So that's why people become a dealer, right? Well, we only deal in whatever Nortel, which I know they're not even in business anymore, but whatever. I only deal in this, or I only deal in that, right? But then it gets to a point where there isn't a one size fits all company that does everything.
Correct.
Okay, so tell me about your journey further. So you're doing this. You're selling home automate. You're a salesman.
Yeah, we do.
You're in the sales force.
Sales. We did installation.
But what's your job?
Own the company.
And you owned it. You started it. Okay.
Push everything forward.
So that was okay. I got you.
This company was opened in 2017. I opened it right before I moved back to Ohio, and then what we ended up doing was, I sat down and I really looked at it. We were talking about 1.7 million SKU, and I started crunching the numbers, and I was looking for something scalable that I could take nationwide, something where I could help other people get into business and grow my own company, helping other people. And when I was really looking at smart home, it just wasn't working. I was losing money left and right. We'd gain money, but I'd lose it in the next couple months.
Are you stocking all these SKUs, or are you ordering them on
delivery?
There's
no. How do you stock 1.7 million SKUs?
Well, correct. Well, that's what I said. You stock.
And
that's
that
got to be a delay.
The problem, because when you order the wrong part, or you get the wrong part,
or it
now
never
you have
comes.
to send it back.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but then you're paying the shipping back and forth.
Your customer doesn't understand that. They got
exactly.
Well,
a small change for them is a huge cost burden on me.
Especially in the day and age now, like everybody wants everything right away.
Yeah.
So if you're not warehousing those SKUs and you say, hey, you know what? Especially like think about COVID. Like COVID slowed everything down. And so now you're saying, hey, well, there's a delay because of COVID. I can't get your part for 4 weeks. Nobody wants that.
Yeah. Even before COVID hit, I knew that it wasn't scalable. I knew that there was no way that we were going to get this under wraps without, you're right, hammering down with one company.
Which you don't want to do
doing a simple plan, and we never could get those relationships built to where we could make even one of them. So we were talking to them for a long time. We were dealing with Vivint Smart Home, and it's a whole home automation. Yep. We were dealing with Google. It's a whole home automation. With Amazon, they own Ring now, and between Ring and all the other smart home automation they have, we could build a whole smart home automation with them.
On their platform, right?
The problem was, again, it goes back to, is it scalable and is it profitable? And it just wasn't. But what happened on that journey was we stumbled across robotic lawnmowers.
Okay, there we go.
There it is.
So before you get there, what was your experience with lawn care prior to that?
Simple. I grew up on a farm with
Okay.
with like a 4-acre yard in Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no commercial experience,
no real commercial
nothing.
lawn care experience. And so when I meet landscapers, that's one of the first thing I tell them is, hey, I'm not a landscaper. I'm not here to replace you. I can't. I don't.
Because I
have a
bet they
clue.
feel threatened, don't they?
They do.
So
Boy,
the big
do they
ones
feel
don't.
threatened.
So the big ones don't. The big ones
see
see
the-
me for what I
see
am,
the
which is
value.
just an expert on the industry, and they have a tendency to draw me in and want to talk to me a lot.
Because you come from the tech side. It's cool.
Yeah.
I like where you come from. You're not just some guy. You're different.
But if I were to run an advertisement with robotic lawnmowers, the $20 a yard guy is going to leave me a bunch of negative reviews for sure.
Oh, absolutely. You see them on your TikTok a lot, I bet.
Yeah.
They come by, but you can't string trim.
You know what happens to them, though, is typically if they hang out for more than a week or two, they'll reverse it. And they'll start talking politely and real nice.
Because
and
they
be like,
probably
"Teach
see
me
the
more."
opportunity, and I want to talk about that because we see it, but I want to get there yet. So you discover, all right, and I think this is what a lot of business owners do when you get something that's successful and running. You want to do everything, you want to do all of the things, and then you realize, whoa, we need to probably scale this back and get good at one thing or two things. And this is the robotic mower niche. So how long ago did you start really getting serious about that and moving to what you do now?
So it's 2018 that we got real serious about robotic lawnmowers. 2017 was when we first opened the company. Within a year, I knew that smart home was going to struggle, and that first we were going to do smart home, smart yard. We're going to heavily push the robotic mowers during summer, start pushing smart home during winter, and run a year-round sales program. What ended up happening, though, was in the first several months, robotic lawnmowers were selling. They were making money. They were staying sold. There wasn't really any issues, and if there was an issue, we had a warranty. We could take care of it. It was no big deal. We just replaced the part and keep it moving.
So the manufacturers were willing to work with you, and when you called, they weren't. So a lot of times, as you know, when you're a new player and you call these men, they're like, whatever, we have distributors, call one of them. And you're lucky to get a call back. Oh, yeah, you can buy a train car load, then otherwise we won't talk to you. Do you have any of that issue? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Even with the smart home automation. So like when I first talked to Ring about like scaling up, it was $5 million.
Right.
You needed to make a $5 million purchase to even begin to get a discount. And I would look up and they'd be selling it cheaper on Amazon than I could buy it as a dealer.
Because they don't want you as a dealer.
Yeah,
They're basically
they
telling
truly
you
don't
that.
want you as a dealer. And so when it came down to robotic lawnmowers, I did get some pushback. I remember being at GIE and me literally just laughing at in like some of the executives' faces of some big manufacturers because they wouldn't change little things in the contract to work in today's age. You know, the reality is we're right in between two generations, baby boomers and millennials. And the truth is the statistics on the millennials for how much work they're able to accomplish is impressive, but it's only because of the technology and the different way that they do business. So like as we hit COVID, I watched dealers go out of business left and right because they couldn't afford it. I laughed though because my mentor had taught me that you do not waste your money. So my overhead was pretty much zero. And I was running my company like any millennial on a shoestring budget. Even though I had money in the bank, I knew better than to waste it on a direct TV service. You know what I mean? Something silly in my office that is not going to make me money. And so we just stripped down the business completely and it just runs forward on what we need and not what we want in the business. If that
So
makes
let's
sense.
talk about your business then. If I'm a customer, I order from you, take me through the process. So you sell me, what's the brand you have?
I've got
Husqvarna?
a Husqvarna.
All right, so you sell Husqvarna? Okay, and because I'm brand agnostic too. So we'll just say that because they've been good to us. So I'm going to order a Husqvarna, or that's my idea. I've researched it. I call you, and I say, I think I want one of these Husqvarnas for my yard.
Yep.
What do you do? Well, how do you trigger a process and take me through the whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can actually just schedule yourself right on our website.
Okay.
And most of the time, if you call me, text me, because a lot of customers actually have my number, because my personal cell phone number is literally plastered everywhere.
Ooh, you're going to get tired of that soon. Probably right after this podcast.
my favorite thing, though, is the little kids that call randomly. And they're just excited to talk to Matt the Mower guy. Like legitimately,
That's
they
your
are
branding
just
working.
excited to talk to Matt the Mower guy for 10
that's
seconds.
TikTok, man. That's
is,
TikTok
it
making
is.
you Matt the Mower guy.
It is.
And I want to get into that too, but make sure I want people to know your business model. So I order online. I order an estimate online. I can do this anywhere in the country.
Yeah, you can do it anywhere.
So
in
I'm
the
here in
country.
Florida. I order it. Then what happens after I order the estimate?
So you have a couple different options. The way I like to do it is with a free on-site walkthrough, so we can walk the yard together and talk about details.
You?
Me and the customer, or one
So
of my
you fly all over the
representatives.
country and you'll come to the
I
house.
don't, but somebody will.
So
Somebody
one of your
will be
employees
there.
or one of your okay.
Right now, if you were to call us, I want to say I have a representative in probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right now, we could cover 7 different states, and what we're doing is we're scaling up. You've probably, if you've been to my website, seen a couple little hints.
So these are regional dealers, you call them, or are they employees of yours, or they make commission? How they work?
No, they're not employees of mine. Basically, we contract. We help other people get into the industry.
Okay.
I've been doing it so long, and I have a good enough contract to where we can license out, and we allow other people to get into the industry.
Good for you.
And the way my mentor taught me to do this was he said, you don't charge people for a license, but you make them earn it. And if they're not qualified, you never give them a license. It's just the truth. It's just going to harm them, and it's going to harm the customer.
Makes sense.
And so what we do is it actually starts off, we just set up the funnel on the website, and it'll start off by them submitting their information. Then we contact them, and we're just going to talk. I want to get to know them. I want to get comfortable with them, and I want them to get comfortable with me. If they don't feel comfortable talking to me, the relationship will never work out long term. Honesty is the foundation of a good business, and that's what I'm looking for. 2 things. I want a foundation of honesty, and I want somebody who wants to do it anyway. And that way I just get out of their way, and pretty much they'll just call me for advice.
Mm-hmm. You're in the early adopter phase, pretty much. Okay, so you're talking to the customer on the phone. You're sizing up to make sure how big is the lawn, make sure they're the right person for this, right? You determine that, I'm a good candidate for one of your mowers. You decide what's next.
So what we do at the end of a complimentary walkthrough is we just tell you which mowers are right for your yard. And that might be several different models for you to choose from. And it's just really an opinion thing.
So you're doing like a good, better, best kind of thing.
Pretty much. Like,
This is literally like buying a cell phone in when did cell phones start? I don't remember. Late 90s?
Like early 2000s.
How old are you, by the way, Matt?
33.
Oh, yeah, you're definitely a young man. Good for you. You're a millennial. Go get her. I love it. All right, so good. That's why you mentioned that. I wanted to go back to that. All right, so you do the walkthrough. You're going to present it to me like cell phones, right? This one has this. This has voicemail. This one has that. You're going to tell me all the options.
Yep. And at the end of it, this is what I always do. We just shoot you a text message with all the information that we went over. That way you have it in writing, and you can review it later on with yourself or your spouse or your friends or whoever you want, or compare something onto the internet. And then we tell you, just call us, text us, email us with questions, and whenever you're ready, just let us know. What we do from there is we take payment. We accept cash, check. We do financing at 0% interest for 4 years, and we also accept debit and credit cards with an additional fee, depending on which state it's in. From there, we'll go ahead and get your equipment in, schedule your installation. Depending on where you're at, most of the time we're going to call 811, send out a crew just to check the ground. In general, we're not going deep enough. Most of our serious utilities are going to be 3 feet down. Most communication is going to be 18 inches. If we're bearing a wire, we're shooting for 3 inches.
Right.
So, but we like to have 811 come out, check the yard. When we do installation, we do like customers to be on site for installation. We do a final walkthrough before we begin, and then our guys go ahead and do the installation. We book the entire day for the customer. That way they don't feel rushed, and my guys don't feel rushed. Whenever we get done with it, we go ahead and connect it over to the customer's phone, and then we sit down and just let them check things out. And whenever they're ready to ask questions, they ask questions. Whenever they're ready for us to get out of their hair, they just say, all right, I'll call you later with questions. And that's what they do. It's so new to them. It's going to be a learning curve.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a learning curve, but it is cool because like when I
Sending me
put
pictures, look at what it did there.
when
Within an hour, 2 hours.
Yeah, when I put in mine, I remember like literally I'm like following it around.
Yeah.
Like I'm so excited that I'm walking behind this mower, just like, hey, oh, look, why is it doing this? Why is it doing that? That's so cool. Like,
why did it do a spiral cut?
Yeah, now it's doing this. Like, it's people are excited, and so that's cool. That's cool that you give customers the access to you because you know why it's doing this, and you can explain, hey, this seems weird. Why is it doing that? And you can explain to them. That's cool, man.
To me, it's huge. I didn't realize how huge it was going to be to have like open communication with all of our existing customers. But the reality is like we have hundreds of messages and text messages every single day, and it's simple questions to us, but it saves them the headache. I've watched customers not call, not text, not email us, and then they finally do after 3 weeks, and I just have to laugh at them because the truth is nothing was broken, and they were hunting
Well,
for a
so
problem
I can
that
tell
didn't
you,
exist.
we see similar things from the lawn care side where people are freaked out about something, but because we as a company are fairly accessible, they can shoot an email or a text or a message on Facebook or Instagram, and to us, again, we know, hey, well, that's not a big deal.
Yep.
But it's a big deal to them because they're new in it and they're trying to figure it out. So communication is so huge.
It really is.
The customer, do they own or lease the unit from you?
So we have both different options available, but this is my short answer on that. They're always going to buy it. I have no lease customers right now. I always offer it because it gets asked so much. But when I present it to them and I present it the way the industry is, it's a no-brainer.
How long will it last? Typically, I know they're all different.
Yeah, it's so I'll tell you the answer of the best guy in the entire United States that I would trust to answer that. He says there is no life expectancy. If you ask me, I would tell you that my entire goal is to get it 10 to 15 years. The reality is there's no oil, no gas, no emissions.
Right.
And
It's
so
just
if
replace
something,
boards.
Yeah.
Yes.
If something goes bad, you replace that one part and you just keep it moving.
I mean, so I can tell you from experience and talking to people, I know that is a big concern of people. Well, are these like cell phones where it's planned obsolescence, where in 2 years my mower's not going to work? And you're saying that's not the case.
No, in fact, actually, so recently I got concerned about that. I don't know what they figured out about batteries, but Husqvarna's batteries were incredible to me. Because when I think about my cell phone battery, I think, I'm going to get 2 years. I might luck out and get 3 or 4 years out of it. Husqvarna was getting 6 to 8 years. They were shooting for 6,000 to 8,000 charge cycles on a battery. More recently, we've seen a couple of the smaller units that aren't quite lasting as long. But after a conversation in the last 2 weeks, not only are they drastically changing, but they're increasing the capacity. So, like, I really could be wrong about these numbers because I'm going loosely off the top of my head, but I want to say the battery in the all-wheel drive is like a 2.1, and they're going to replace it with a 4.5.
So that's huge.
Yeah,
huge difference. Anybody who knows anything about amp hours, going from a 2 amp hour to doubling that to 4.5, like that's a huge increase in battery life.
Yeah, that's the big thing against battery now. I hear I'm all battery, but it's for hand equipment, but it's the charging cycles. So you get 200 recharges and the battery's no good anymore, essentially, in some cases. But again, it's just a part replaced. So you would do that for the customer too, right? I mean, because there's going to be a time when a battery's going to go bad just from end of life. So as part of your service, they can call you. You come out for a service call, replace the battery, and they keep going.
Yeah.
Or you can upsell them a new unit. Because to me, it's almost, this is going to, I don't like the word about the planned obfuscescence or whatever that word is.
Obsolescence?
Yeah, that one. But I more like it like the iPhone where, well, I want the new iPhone because that has a better camera or it has this or that. So I want the new Husqvarna because now I don't need the buried wire anymore, so I'll buy the new one. So it's more like that to me. I just want the newest, greatest thing rather than something that broke.
And that comes down to recognizing which customer you're dealing with. And I believe that it doesn't really hurt or bother my company or its profitability if I offer different options. So when it comes down to the battery, like going dead completely, typically you're outside of warranty at that point, which means you could replace it yourself. But the truth is they've never opened up a robotic lawnmower.
Right.
They don't know what all they need to do. So we offer them options. Either A, option one, we come out, we replace it. Option B, you bring it to us, we replace it. Option C, we're happy to mail you one, and we'll talk you through how to do it yourself.
Yeah, see, I like that because now I would be not wanting to call the large company Husqvarna, but I'll call you because I know you. And that's where you went back to the customer service and starting out the relationship the right way and that type of stuff.
Yep.
Well, because if you're calling Husqvarna, or not to call out Husqvarna, but if you're calling a big major company, for example, there's so many layers that you have to go through a lot of times before you can even talk to a human being. And so I would much rather call you directly and you just say, hey, Brett, it sounds like your battery's gone bad. You got A, B, and C. I can do one of the three and just be done, instead of being like, well, sir, actually, let's check your warranty status and let's do X, Y, and Z before we even talk about the problem, where you're offering the whole thing to a customer right there and just saying, hey, here's your issue. Here's the fixes. Choose one.
Yeah, and not only that, but like every company's a little bit different. Some of them do have big setup customer services. So like my background, I worked with a bunch of telecom companies, and so they handle their own customer service, even though they might outsource it to a call center. They handle their own customer service. Husqvarna does have a customer service center, but the truth is your average customer should not call them. Then I don't think Husqvarna would even be upset with me saying that.
No, because you speak the right language. You get right to it at the bottom.
They should call the local dealer because many times, especially when dealing with robotics, the experts at Husqvarna, they're there to answer the phone call for me. They're not necessarily the customer service representative, and they don't really have everything set up. Can they take a couple phone calls? Yeah, of course they can. But they're not really set up, and 99% of the time, if you really have a problem, you're going to need a dealer because either you're under warranty and I have to crack the mower open and start playing with chips, or you need my dealer software to go ahead and
say, you got to have the diagnostic
to
equipment to plug in to even see what's going on a lot of times.
So you have, as I want to go back to some of this business stuff because it's cool to me.
Yeah.
So with these companies, then how many are you considered a dealer with them all, or are you a reseller, or do they all classify you a little bit differently?
Oh, you're talking about the manufacturers?
I don't know. There's Husqvarna and who else? I don't even know who else.
I think before you even go there,
am I going too far, too fast?
You said you work with multiple different companies. What different companies do you work with?
I'm going to keep it a little quiet on that one. I'll tell you that.
Or you could just say, hey, I work with 10 different companies or whatever.
I don't even know how many players there are.
Yeah, that's what I was about to answer.
So I can tell you that from my side, I am seeing new players enter the game.
There's over 50 manufacturers when it comes down to robotic lawnmowers. So we have over 50 manufacturers, and every major player in the world has a robotic lawnmower. John Deere has a robotic lawnmower. Honda has one. Steel has one. In general, they're playing catch up to Husqvarna. Why? Husqvarna came out with one in 1995.
And say they've been
Europe,
talking
right?
about this stuff
Well,
like
we heard Europe is where it's
25
Europe is the
years.
proving ground of all robotic lawnmowers. So John Deere's mower is called Tango. It's in a test phase over in Europe because over in Europe, they're not buying it for the first time. They're typically replacing their old mower that they bought 15, 20 years ago. So to them, they're comfortable with it. They're used to it.
So why is that? Why are we in the U.S. like so far behind? When I think of technology, typically the U.S. is like I think of like the U.S. being
advanced
at the forefront.
We're not though. This is why is because we're the number one market in the world. Nobody wants to bring a product to the number one market without it being ready. So an example of that was Husqvarna. It's a Fortune 500 company. They had Automower in 1995, but it didn't hit the United States really until 2018. The reason being is they wanted to make sure it was ready. And by the time the first fleet hit the United States shoreline, we had a couple of the older, simpler units, but the mass majority of them were the X Series. They had every bell and whistle you wanted, GPS tracking, built-in alarm, app control, voice control with Alexa. They could park when it rained. They could, all the little tiny features they had already figured out by the time they said, we're ready. Manufacturing's in place, shipping's in place. Let's go ahead and drop some units in, start building some experts, and then start pushing it forward.
Takes some patience to do that, but
yeah. And if you're a no-name company, like remember Roomba?
Yep.
Roomba was working on a similar technology.
I remember hearing that they were working on a robot mower at one point.
But they were originally just a vacuum company, and they launched about 2002. They were willing to throw it into the U.S. market because they were a no-name company. What did they have to lose? They didn't have a giant name or a brand that was going to risk something flopping.
See, but the thing is, though, Roomba has become synonymous with the robot vacuum.
Yes.
It has. In the same way, when people talk about tissues, they say Kleenex, right?
That's Roomba.
And Roomba has become the Kleenex of robotic vacuum cleaners. I've got a Eufy, there's a million different kinds now, right? But they're synonymous. And it's funny because even with the robot mowers, everybody in my neighborhood is like, oh, you're the guy with the Roomba lawnmower over there. So it is interesting how they took over, like, as the name for that.
Yeah, it really
I'm
is.
I'm sure customers or companies like Husqvarna hate that.
No, I don't think they hate it at all. I think that when it comes down to Husqvarna and they're looking at the industry of things that they wouldn't like, would be same things I don't like, which are misleading things. So like in the last year, everyone's been wanting a wireless unit to go around their house.
Sure.
And several of those 50 manufacturers actually advertise a wireless unit, and all their advertisements have photos of houses. The truth is I know their products inside and out. They will not work around a house. They will not work under tree cover, not the wireless stuff.
Right, there's this waypoint thing, right?
So yeah, so that's something I want to talk about. But I want to finish the point you were talking about the different manufacturers.
Yeah, so you won't tell us how many. I get it. I totally do. But is that what you are? Are you you have to be licensed, like not just any Joe Schmo can call up and go, I want to resell your stuff.
No. In general, there's going to be a process to even with me. Like I said, I'll give somebody a license, but they kind of have to go through my process and earn it.
But that's what I mean. You've gone to these manufacturers and you've been able to negotiate a deal where not only are you the dealer, reseller, whatever term you're using, but you're also able to grant others to be able to do that. Like you can't do that with Toro. You can't just go and let anybody sell Toro's grandstands. It's not going to happen.
No, you're absolutely right.
So to your credit, you've worked through that. Right, because I get it. If you control distribution, that's great.
Yeah, it's.
So how many customers do you have now?
I have no idea. I don't look at the numbers like that. So I came from sales.
More than 10?
Oh yeah, way more than 10.
More than 1,000?
Probably right around-ish.
Okay.
Right around.
So that's good.
At this point.
And how many employees do you have? Still just you?
So we have 44 different people that are under contract right now, but that includes everything from accounting to HR, if that makes sense, online. Right now, when it comes down to actual laborers in field, I keep it short and simple. So we have 4 different guys that we use regularly for labor that are in the 5 cities that I'm running directly.
Okay. So somebody else that you license out, that's their job, is to build their territory, find their contractors. That's their deal, right? They get is that how that works? Like if I wanted to start this business with you, if you liked me and I wanted a license for Florida, for example, how's that work?
Basically, it starts off by filling out the information on our website. From there, we just sit down, we talk, we get to know each other. You're going to have a separate LLC. So most likely it'll be setting up another LLC, getting your insurance, bank accounts, EIN. From there, it's a discussion of what brand you want to run under. Do you want to run under, because right now I do not want anybody running under my current brand. We actually have a new trademark, a national
see, now you're getting like into franchises. And, that's a whole other business model that I've looked at, and it's not for me, but I mean, it could be for a lot of people. So,
Exactly. And so my honest opinion, though, is everyone should just create their own brand. Because I'm not in the business.
When you're talking about brand, you're talking about Matt the Mower Guy is your brand.
Yeah, like I would be Florida Robot Mowers. That would be by the way, guys, I'm not buying this franchise.
Right. So
it'd be
if we wanted to start doing it here,
we'd be Florida Robot Mowers, and you're just our source for everything we need technical. Like you're our guy.
Everything that I have right now, you guys get.
Right.
So you but I would knowledge too.
You guys get all the contracts. You guys get access to the top tech support people. You get my pre-negotiated prices for warranty, which I'll tell you openly, I was the lowest paid person in the entire United States when I started, just because I didn't know how to price it. They were literally like, "How much do you want paid?" And I was like, I have no idea. And I threw out a number.
Yeah, you're breaking new ground.
Yeah. And turned out I was the lowest paid person in the entire United States for like 2 years.
Well, you're setting the market. You're setting the value.
Yeah.
So if I'm Florida Robot Mowers and you're my guy and I have a license through you, how do you make money from me?
Oh, above and beyond. So what I do is my warranty pay is above and beyond what anything else in the national average is. And
so I'm selling your warranties, your other stuff?
It actually would be with your company. So you would be an entire licensed dealer for any one of these manufacturers that I already hold a contract on. And then from there, typically I'm going to tell you like things really just straightforward. I'm going to be like, hey, don't mess with these brands. We have a contract on them, but it's just not worth it. We hold that contract because there's a future with them that we need to maintain the relationship in case it does get
better. Sure. No,
yeah.
So then my question, my thought process goes to, well, if you get me set up as a dealer and I get access to that kind of stuff, what's to keep me from just being like, hey, thanks for the help, bro. Like, I'm out.
Yeah, a contract.
Okay. Yeah, because that's where he has the distribution.
All right.
So they're not going to do that.
Yeah,
the other
and
companies.
not only that, but even
you're not giving me the keys to the kingdom. You're still holding the master key.
Exclusivity would be a term I would use.
So, yeah, that's what it comes down to, is basically I control my licenses. So if we decide that somebody doesn't have the moral compass
so you can pull my license at any time.
Yeah, we can. We don't want to, obviously.
Well, you have a non-compete agreement too and everything. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, we're able to actually offer more than what somebody, if they were to open up a dealership, we can actually offer them more. The reason being is because I've been around for so long, and because we've negotiated our contracts past what a dealer could get. That's what I mean by above and beyond. So you guys, or whoever it would be, would actually make the same or better than any other dealer in the country.
Makes
and
sense.
then what I get is above and beyond. It's
Right.
basically a pre-negotiated terms with corporate on the idea that we've been doing this for so long, we're so good at it, that we have the opportunity to go ahead and grow other people.
So the extra value that you provide is worth more than me going out on my own and doing
Well, it's
it.
the knowledge. You've already made all the mistakes that I'm going to make.
Yeah, and that's the bigger thing is, like I was saying a minute ago, I'm kind of just a straightforward person. I'm going to tell you really blunt things like, hey, don't dive in with all your money. Because I get people all the time that were approaching me a year ago, 2 years ago, and they were ready to dive into the business. I'm just sitting here looking them up and down, and I can see that they're a landscaper. They have a truck, a trailer, they have a house, a little bit of money. But when they're sitting here talking to me, some of these mowers are not cheap. You know, these residential mowers, okay, $5,000 for mower, $6,000. Now let's jump into the commercial world. How about 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, 70,000? Are you ready for when a customer does a return? Ooh, do you have deep enough pockets to have inventory? That's another one.
Makes sense.
Do you have a line of credit for $500,000 to even sign the first manufacturer's contract? Yeah. All of a sudden it goes, oh. And I'll tell you the truth is, like, we started the company in a tiny office smaller than this room. That's just the truth. Is when I opened the company, I threw 3 metal shelves in that room on a desk. And I said, office supplies, new parts, used parts, my desk, done. Let's go to work. And we started just hammering the pavement for sales.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, I got one more question that's along this, and then we can get. I want to get into some of the other, like the actual robot, what you think about the robot.
Yeah.
But you've mentioned a couple times you have a mentor. Who is that?
Me?
Yeah.
I have several mentors.
Well, I'm just wondering if it's any of the same ones I do.
I promise it's not.
Okay, so you have a personal mentor. No guru, no Gary Vaynerchuk guru on the internet or anything like that.
No. I've met a couple of those bigger guys, just because I was in sales before, and so they'd get invited to like our sales conferences,
Right.
and I'm lucky enough that I've met some of those big, huge speakers that draw massive crowds. No, none of them are my mentor though.
Okay.
Right now I always was told keep a circle of 5. And so that's what I do is I keep 3 that are personal and then 2 that are business. And anytime I'm stuck on a decision, I go to all 5 people and I ask the exact same question to all 5 people, majority rules. If I ever hear something that is askew, like I can hear they're emotionally involved in that, what they're telling me, I'll get rid of that decision. I'll go with the others. And typically by then, the majority is ruling and they were the standalone odd one just because they had something they wanted to influence in on it. So when it comes down to mentors in this world, I have one that's a business mentor. He's a self-made billionaire, and he is all about sales. That is his entire background, is he just does sales. The other one, he is in the green industry, and I don't even know if he knows he's my mentor yet. But, I call him enough. I bother him enough, hit him up with enough questions, and I feel like I'm getting to the point that I might as well just say that he's a mentor. He's definitely... you can hear it in a mentor's voice when they give you advice. They're not in it for themselves. They genuinely are just giving you their honest opinion about something. And from my experience, there's 2 types of mentors. One is either like a daily direct leader or a coach, and he kind of is riding me a little bit, pushing me to achieve more and bring home more for the team. The other one's a little bit softer. They have a tendency to look at bigger picture and to avoid the dramas and the pitfalls in this world, and to just slowly and steadily move forward doing good in the world and doing good to everyone around you.
Boy, I like that. I'm glad I asked that question.
That was deep.
Yeah, man. No, well, I love getting into that stuff because, again, you have to be a little bit of a masochist to start a business, man. Being a salesman, I love sales too, and you have to be a certain kind of individual to be hardcore into sales, and I respect that. So that's why I like getting behind you. What ticks a little bit. Good. Well, let's talk about the mowers, Brett. I know you want to get into some of that.
Yeah, I love these mowers.
And we love them too. Just so you know, Matt, I don't have one of these mowers.
So
but
Alan's the
that.
old school traditional guy.
But only because I see the value 100%. And I see the value for professionals. If I was going to start a professional lawn service right now where I was taking care of residential or commercial lawns, I would offer a robot mower as a contract alternative. So I would tell people, look, I'll do regular mow and blow for you, but I also have this. If you want the robot mower, this is what you pay for it. You can finance it through me, blah, blah, blah. I'll still do your weed whacking and your edging. I'll change your blades for you once a month or however often. And by the way, look at what we can do to your lawn. That looks really, really awesome. And we can all, so I would do that. I would totally put that in as a line of service to my lawn business. That's how much I believe in it.
A lot of landscapers are. And actually, in fact, what is it? Is it Orlando? Green Industry or Landscaper Association over in Orlando that's coming up here in October, November, I think. They actually have 5 different landscapers that did that model, and they're gonna be there. Yeah. Joe's gonna be the main speaker, like whatever, the director of the conversation.
Yeah, I have a friend that has a company called Quiet Lawn out of South Carolina, and he offers that. They go out of Prius. And they do they use ego tools, so they're all electric, but then an option they offer is robotic because it goes right along with their business model.
Hand in hand.
He puts it all on YouTube and everything, so really cool.
It's cool. So as far as robot mowers go, things have changed a lot in the last couple of years, right?
Yes.
So where do you see things, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Being someone that is like 100% all in on it, where do you see this going? Because I have my own thoughts. I know Alan has his thoughts as well, but I'm just an outsider, really. I'm just somebody looking on the outside. I've got 2 units, got 2 Husqvarna units. I love them. But there are, from my opinion, there are some things that I would change if I was in charge of that. Where do you think things are going?
Up. Without a doubt, sales are going to increase in the next couple of years. I'd say within 5 years, we will be heavily into the major majority of the United States market. Within 10 years, it will be a complete norm, as in nobody really will be looking at a traditional lawnmower unless it's something specialty, like a real mower that they wanted, or one of those, what's the floating mower?
Fly mow.
Fly mow or the hover mowers.
Yeah, unless it's one of those, like eventually it's all going to become robotics.
So I don't know. I think I may disagree with you. So our target customer, a lot of our guys that we deal with on the day-to-day basis, guys and gals, they're weird and they like mowing the lawn.
So we don't have the everyman. We don't. We have, if you've ever read Malcolm Gladwell's The Tipping Point, so that we're still early adopters, maybe moving over into first majority. So we're not, that's our audience. They're not, they're not the normal guy that just, oh no, did you
No, I'm fine. I just got a leg cramp.
Oh. I was like, oh man, did my setup shock you?
He's falling out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that our audience, a lot of them, they really enjoy mowing. Mowing is their
the guy
therapy.
that's going over to Home Depot right now has no idea what he's doing. He's looking at price. He's gonna buy a Murray mower, if those even exist anymore, for $200 and walk away. That's your target. That's 99% of the market.
Right. And that's what's funny is I get a lot of people, a lot of my audience that watches my channel, watches my Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. A lot of those guys are like, I'd never use a robot mower. But those guys are the guys that are out there mowing their lawn 3 times a week.
That's me. I won't. Yeah.
Like, and to those guys, I say, you're probably right. But you are not the norm. Like, we are not the norm. The guys that mows their lawn 3 times a week, that is not normal. Most people in your neighborhood, if you walk down the street in your neighborhood, most people mow Saturday morning because they have to.
But I think most people have a service. See, that's right. I want to forget that. We're DIYers.
44% have a service.
So you know your numbers. Okay, so are you going to chip away at the residential market through landscapers or through one-to-one talk with individual homeowners?
Or is it split?
I'm sure it's split, but what's the biggest?
That's actually a really good question, because right now it's a lot of one-to-one to customers, right? But in my eyes, I'm not a landscaper. I'm a businessman, right?
Right. And so from experience, having owned a couple of these mowers now almost a year, the robot mower doesn't do everything.
Nope.
It does. It is not a 1-for-1 swap.
That's why you have to have the landscaper, because he is the key.
And that's why we're going to do a bunch of licenses with landscapers, is because not only can they sell a unit and service that customer, but they could also discount and then sell to their landscaping company and lease units out. And if you become the local robotic mower expert, now you're touching more yards than you've ever touched. And as I told you, I'm not a landscaper. All my customers know this. I'm a robotic mower expert. And when it comes down to it, I get offers to do landscaping work literally every day of the week.
It's because people ask us, "Oh, yard mastery. Oh, can we get an estimate?" I'm like, "We don't do that." You know, that's
all
just,
the time.
Yeah, can you remove
When
these
can you
bushes?
when can you come to my house?
Do you do mulch?
So that's why, yeah, I agree. So that's what I'm saying. When you're working with an individual homeowner, that's your early adopter, your person that really wants it. But when you're working with a landscaper, I would assume you have to sell them on the opportunity.
I don't believe in doing that. The reason why is it goes back to, like I said it really early on, is the idea that I look for people that want to do it.
So they're coming to you then.
Yeah, in general.
Like you're at GIE. What did you get leads from that?
No, we don't do a setup at GIE, but
Okay.
GIE, I talked to GIE probably like a month and a half ago, and they asked me to send them an email and do some kind of setup next year. They wanted to do a weird trade where they give me a booth to do like a social media setup and something else if I was willing to do
we'll get to
something
TikTok.
else.
So that's the thing. You have your own. You're cool because you're doing your own. You're doing the whole package for yourself. So then, are landscapers calling you? Like, how are you finding leads?
Yeah.
Are you doing paid search or just all through TikTok, social media? Is that the only place you're getting leads?
So originally, like I said, every time that we paid for marketing, I would get $20 an hour or $20 a yard guys just hating me.
Right. It's a hard one. Yeah. How do you dial in a niche for pay per click? I get it.
Yeah, and so what we did is we abandoned all that and we just started pushing those videos, the TikTok videos, Facebook videos, and as simple as it is, the audience has gotten big enough. And this is what I realized was, at first, when you first like grow an audience like that, you're like, what is my audience? Like my first viral video added 10,000 followers, and who are those people really? But flash forward a year later, and then I cross-reference little things like mower or landscaper or mowing, and I realized that I have thousands of landscapers following us on social media.
Interesting.
Yeah. And
where are most of them at? TikTok, Instagram?
Right now, my biggest following is TikTok. We're at 32,000 on that one. On LinkedIn, we have a few thousand.
I would
on
think that'd
Facebook.
be really good for you, LinkedIn.
Yeah, funny enough, it's just a completely different audience. And so what is viral on TikTok will not
all,
go viral.
All social media is that way, though.
Yeah.
I have had
They're not
videos.
set up for video on LinkedIn. And so
But you're getting
videos,
calls. Are you getting calls every day then from people that's how, because obviously you're not doing any other advertising except that, but you're getting calls. Your phone's ringing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Power of social media, man.
This is what I always tell everybody is if you want something bad enough, you will literally just go for it 110%. And I think people think it's a joke when I say I grab my phone and I start replying to messages before my feet hit the ground in the morning. And I typically don't stop working until midnight every day of the week, except for like when I just mentally I have to tap out and take a day to relax and focus on paying
So you're
bills.
grinding.
Let's
man.
hope your mentors
yeah.
tell you to do that because, man.
Literally, a guy just told me the other day. He's like, no offense, man. He's like, I have a meeting on this every Monday, and you need to kind of take a break and decompress and pay attention to that in your own life. And he's absolutely right. Taking care of yourself is huge. It actually makes me like think of my priorities. Is I have 5 life priorities, and I literally developed them because when I was younger and chasing businesses, I'd burn myself out. And I had to create 5 priorities in order, and it keeps me going.
Love that. Well, let's talk more about the mowers themselves then.
So
'Cause I'll keep going on business all day. dude.
Yeah. Let's talk about mowers.
We can talk for days.
So,
seriously.
so going back to mower technology,
Yes.
the thing that I think is one of the biggest barriers to entry is the ground wire.
Yeah.
Is that going away, or is
Why don't
that
you tell them why it still exists?
yeah, or is that a
Most people in the audience don't know why.
yeah? So talk me through. So first off, the ground wire is there for what?
So the ground wire is, I always say it's a lot like an invisible dog fence. It keeps our puppy in the yard, out of the garden, and out of the swimming pool. And the truth is that wire on a robotic lawnmower is a very old school system. 1962, the first robotic lawnmower came out, and it was a wired system. Had a wire above ground all the way around the yard. Obviously, nobody wants a wire above ground around their yard. Somebody's going to trip over it. And for the most part, it was a flop. And so any residential unit nowadays, though, it does still have an underground wire, And then with Husqvarna, not only do you have a perimeter wire, but you also have guide wires. And those guide wires are huge. You are not going to get a robotic lawnmower to circle your house and go right through the gate of your backyard to the front yard without a guide wire.
Yeah, we saw their technology at GIE. They even have the gate that opens up now and everything. It was cool.
That's not out yet.
Yeah, but it's just cool to see that they're moving that way because they're solving problems. We met the engineer that designed it. Some kid, he's like 23 years old.
Kevin? Was it Kevin?
He's very young.
Sounds right.
I'm like, what are you doing here? He goes, I made that. I'm like, what, you did? He goes, yeah,
It's awesome.
I made
Yeah,
that.
I think it was Kevin. He's a great guy. Got long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Kevin.
cool,
He's a great guy.
So all right. So I get
Kevin.
get the need for the ground wire, and I get the idea behind the ground wire, but the ground wire, for me, an end user is incredibly annoying.
But not for the landscaper, it shouldn't be. It's annoying, but it's...
But the ground wire
burying
is
stuff all the time.
It's prone to issue.
The
issue is my next door neighbor had some trees removed last week, and their guys cut my ground wire.
So this is
So
the look on your face.
wait. Hold on.
And
This
I have
is-
cut the
he's
ground
offended.
wire hundreds of times. Not hundreds of times, but
I'm about
dozens.
to take this full circle. You were talking about the idea of residential customers needing an expert and how they really shouldn't be doing their own installs. The truth is, I get phone calls from customers all the time.
Are you telling me
Our
that I
install
shouldn't?
I was there. Our install was janky, bro.
It was
we
bad.
used his, what do we use? His edger.
Yeah. I've seen chainsaws used, edgers used.
We're like, this works great. But,
Yeah, I've seen it all. I saw, in fact, in the last 2 weeks, I was on an install that literally was the size of this room, but it had 6 different types of wire.
All right, so we used one kind of wire, but
so wires, I get it. For the DI wire, that is the big barrier to entry. So when are they going to get away from that?
So to get away from the wire, there's
companies out there doing it.
Yeah, but none of them are on residential. And that's what I meant earlier by misleading advertising is they advertise it like it will work on residential and none of them do. There's 3 different systems I'm aware of that have a wireless opportunity around residential, but none of them are functional or available on the market at all right now.
Well, I didn't know that. So that's okay. So we can bottom line it and say if you want a robot mower right now at your house, it's going to have a guide wire to actually work.
If it's a
You can
residential
buy one online,
unit.
but I mean to
But
actually work.
because Husqvarna has the EPOS units, right?
Yep.
And those are wireless.
100% wireless.
Those are running off of RTK technology, right?
Correct. That's the waypoint thing.
Yeah,
right?
so you basically have to have a beacon
local reference
somewhere.
station looks like a dome security camera.
And if the mower
Can't
cannot see that,
that's why
that
we
can't happen.
circle.
You can't mow close to the house.
That's
then.
why we can't circle a house.
Right.
And you also need clear line of sight with the satellites, which typically are going to be on the equator. So you need a line of sight south. And if the trees, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
I can get away with doing an install in winter when there's no leaves on the trees. Up
Oh,
north.
right.
But as soon as those leaves fill in, leaves hold water and are going to block that signal. Anywhere that it goes behind that tree or behind a building or something like that, or gets too close to the building, it's going to lose line of sight with either the satellites or the reference station. Yes, there is a multi-reference station unit that is coming out. I wouldn't hold my breath for it next year, though.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 years down the road.
So what about the companies that are saying that they're going to use a combination?
Yeah.
So you've got companies that are claiming they're going to use a combination of RTK, satellite technology, and camera technology.
I love it. And a built-in memory where it can map everything out and it gets more accurate and better over time.
a Tesla
and
can do it.
See everything.
Right, because as well as anybody, there are literally dozens of these companies that are in Kickstarter right now or are in beta testing or things like that.
It's like a look at Graze, though. Graze was a wireless unit. Everyone saw it up and coming. And what I had to keep telling them on Graze was it's not for sale. They're still raising money. And repeatedly, I get phone calls because they were doing great marketing on Facebook.
There's a handful of companies that are doing the exact same thing right now.
And then when they don't reach their benchmark for manufacture, they lose investor money because
product.
It's got
so
catch.
hard.
Yeah, the investments always have a catch. If somebody gives you $20 million, it's one thing to do like a Kickstarter and raise $20 from 100,000 people, and now you got like $2 million in the bank you can go play with. But when you're raising it from 1, 2, 3 individuals at 10 million, 20 million, 50 million at a time, they're going to have a contract in place that says, hey, if you don't have X number of units done, you don't get the payment, period. We cut you off.
Yeah. Yeah, physical product development is not, that's a long road.
So do you think that technology...
2 years.
2 years?
2 years.
But it'll be one of the leading players already there, already working on it.
This is what I'll tell you on that, is every time I see that a competitor comes close to, say, Husqvarna releases it.
Okay.
Because they've already had it.
Well, I mean, you got to think.
Make it perfect.
I think that's cool, though. They're obviously the ones to
I was going to say,
then.
from my experience, Husqvarna is the industry leader
right now.
Like you said, they've been doing it 25 plus years.
Yep.
So it is interesting to see other big players enter the game, though,
and
because
some huge names.
I mean, like I said, probably better than us. But when we were at GIE last year, all of the big dogs had some sort of autonomous mower. I'm talking Toro, John Deere, Echo, all of these people.
Or they had the ones where you had to have a guy on site with them. Like you said, the commercial.
Yeah, like Greensey.
Yeah,
this is what I always say about anybody who wants Greensey's technology. If you look hard enough on YouTube, you can find all that technology, buy it yourself, and you don't have to pay them $40-something thousand for the mower plus a monthly fee. You could literally just take any zero turn and do that. But here's the downfall.
Matt making friends.
Well, the thing is, they don't take on dealers, and I've told that they don't want a dealer relationship with anybody. And so it is what it is. Like, if they don't want a dealer relationship, like, I'm going to highlight all your faults. Like the idea that when your system locks up for a safety and slams on the brakes, it slides 3 feet forward. So if that was a child, you just ran over that child with a regular fixed blade lawnmower. By the way, fixed blade lawnmowers, which are traditional lawnmowers, are all fixed blades. It's the #1 cause of childhood amputation. And I was told that by my ex, who was a trauma surgeon. But I've said that enough times at events and had people raise their hand missing the fingertip.
Yeah, I've had people reach out to me before too, talking emergency room doctors asking me to talk about it more.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. Just so you guys know, if you're listening, so the robot mowers operate on what I call a sling blade, where the blade actually falls back when it encounters something harder than grass.
It's similar to how the blade on like a bush hog works.
Isn't that called a sling blade or no?
Yeah.
It's a sling blade. Remember that movie?
French fried taters.
Yeah.
But that way, and on a bush hog, for example, it's that way. So if the blade hits a rock,
it falls back.
It moves, so you don't just have that impact right on a rock or a stump or something. And it's a similar idea for the robot mowers, but on a much, much, much smaller scale, because you're using basically like safety razors, right? Double-sided razors. And if they hit a rock or a pebble or a stick or something, that prevents them from breaking the blade.
And this is all going right hand in hand with the idea of why Husqvarna is ahead of everybody else. So they actually did toddler testing in the early 2000s.
Oh boy, I wouldn't want to have been there for that.
And not only did they change the body design a little bit from it, but they also added more safety features. And so when I got into robotic lawnmowers back in 2017, I bought every brand I could get my hands on and just started running tests. And I had 2 questions. 1, legitimately, does this cut grass? Because if it doesn't cut grass, I don't want to represent it. 2, is this safe around an inquisitive toddler? Mm-hmm. Can I look at somebody's kid and they're staring at that mower and I still feel comfortable turning my back and walking away, knowing that that kid is 100% going to walk straight up to that mower and start touching it and start playing with it? And for me, I could actually trick many of the other brands into some kind of safety feature where I could lift up on the mower and the blades are still spinning.
Yeah.
When it came down to Husqvarna, though, before the wheel leaves the ground, the skid plate, you know about the skid plate.
Yep.
The skid plate is still spinning. The blades are at a dead stop. I've never been able to get a video of those blades moving without just blatantly having the mower run over my phone.
That's important.
Because as soon as you lift up on that body, it freezes the blades exactly where they are.
Yeah, so as somebody who has a 3-year-old, I can tell you,
She's
absolutely, they are going to touch. Your kids are gonna touch the lawnmower.
Well, I'm assuming do people decorate them and dress them up and make them look like their dog?
I
would.
My 3-year-old likes to put her stuffed animals on it, and they go for rides around the lawn.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we do vinyl wraps for them. So we do cool. Traditional vinyl wraps. We do for $100. I think we have like 16 different ones.
I see that as a great upsell potential, man.
It is, and we do custom ones too. Basically, the way we saw it was didn't make sense for somebody to ship it to us, even just the plastics. And so what we did is we die cut little tiny pieces, and then we're able to roll it up and ship it out. And then from there, you can just peel each individual piece off and put it on yourself.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Like I would want to, if I would, again, I would go back to the landscaper. I like landscapers. I want them to really take advantage. If you're a landscaper and listening to this, you need to take advantage. I'd dress mine up for Christmas, New Year. I'd dress it up if I was a Bucks fan, on Sundays for football. Why not, man? Have fun with it.
It's great advertising to do all that stuff. I've seen people add skeletons to the top of it for Halloween. They red out the lights with a little bit of a Sharpie or a whiteboard eraser marker.
That's awesome.
But when it comes down to landscapers, this is what we actually do for landscapers is we make vinyl wraps for their company.
See?
And that way, every yard that has one of their mowers, it has their company name.
Perfect.
Which makes total sense because I see
put a number
people
on there, man.
I look on my security cameras daily.
Yep.
And I see people every single day stop and watch my lawnmower.
Yeah.
Like they're just sitting there. What is that doing?
Could you imagine, though, a large landscaper with 500 mowers across that city with his name on them, just cruising around the yard? How many photos? How many videos? So the first landscaper that gets that done in an area, how long are they going to dominate just because they got that marketing edge over everybody else?
I 100% agree. And again, once people have the unit with you and they trust you, you're the guy servicing their unit. They're not going to leave you.
Yeah, and then they start asking for other things. So you may end up and that's why I want to do the licensing the way I do it, is because it gives somebody an opportunity to act like a regular dealer and just sell somebody a unit, or just get a random phone call from somebody who already owns one of the robotic lawnmowers. Okay, cool. You need a new wheel motor? No big deal.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, you want to tired of weed whacking? Want a service contract with me for 30 days? Sure.
Exactly. Oh, by the way, while I'm here, that bald spot on your yard, I can take care of that for you.
Yeah.
You know, would you like me to send my crew out tomorrow? It's so easy to upsell. And so every time I talk to landscapers and they're like, what they ask me typically when they're talking about onboarding and getting a license, they start talking about, well, how many guys do I need? And I always just tell them one guy in the beginning. One guy, he needs to be sales focused. Mm-hmm. He is the engine for your entire train.
Talking to customers, yeah.
And then the next guy needs to be an installer. And then little by little, they'll both work on repairs, but eventually your installer is going to be your repairman. The other guy's going to be your salesman. And push it forward. From there, it's just a matter of adding more cars, more customers. And as you add more customers, you already know, you just add more installers, more repair people.
Mm-hmm. And growing her out.
Yep, exactly. And then the way I do this is we offer 3 different options. Either you can bring the mower to us, or we can come to you and fix it on site, or we can pick up the mower and then bring it back later on.
Okay.
And under warranty, all your repair work's going to be covered, but what's not covered is on-site work. So typically, if we sell somebody a mower, we'll do free on-site work for 60 days. Anything the first 60 days we'll cover. Typically, if it's a little past that, I'm going to cover it anyway on site, just to keep them happy and let them know that we're the good guys. Like, I want your business. I love you. I appreciate you guys as a customer. Nobody wants a headache in the first 90 days. But once we get in and we know that the installation is correct. So I actually have never put a timeline on my installation for customers. I just tell them, call me. We'll both know once it's settled in. But if I laid something wrong and we're 2 months in and it's a little out of whack and you finally got done adjusting the dry pass wire and that one section needs moved, just call us.
So
what do I care?
I will say, having installed a mower, there is absolutely a period of time where you and your mower have to learn the lawn.
Yeah, I always tell customers it's about 2 months to settle in your mower. Just because you're on a learning curve, the mower when it's mapping out your yard, he's going to take minimum 2 months to build his mental map, and to fully build it, he might be all the way into the next season before he's finished building the map and making a decision of where to go, how often to go there, so on and so forth.
And that's the nice thing about the new X Series mowers. Like, I've got a 415X.
Yep.
And it has that mapping technology.
The aim technology.
To where it literally, I could look on my phone right now and it's going to tell me exactly where that mower is, where it's been.
Yep.
Like, super cool.
You can create stay out zones with that. So if you were to dig a hole in the middle of your yard with a traditional unit, you'd have to barricade that hole off so the mower didn't fall in.
He uses toilet seats to cover the holes in his backyard.
That was one time.
Yeah.
It was one time.
He's on vacation. He calls. He goes, something's wrong with with the robot mower, can you go over and see? I go over and it's a toilet seat covering a hole, and one of the wheels fell in the toilet seat. So, listen, I have to run because I didn't expect this to go this long. This is super, but you guys keep going if you want to keep going.
Yeah,
I know
hang out all
it's
day.
super douchey to have to leave the middle of a podcast. I'm
You're
sorry.
leaving your own podcast.
No, I didn't
right?
expect this to go. I'm just telling you. I mean, I'm into it, but I cannot miss this
Wow.
appointment. Yeah. So you guys keep going. You know how to stop everything?
I do not.
You don't.
Nope.
Push that button there, and you can figure out that camera up there.
All right.
And make sure Matt gets a lot of really good swag and stuff.
All the
before he goes.
swag.
Seriously, I'm sorry, I have to go. I thought this was going to only go like 30 minutes, dude, but we will have you back. How often are you down here?
So I'm here for the night. I'm going to go to the baseball game tonight, and then I'm flying out in the morning.
All right, but how often are you in Florida in general?
Hit or miss.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not
Next
here.
time
I'm
you're
not
down
here
here
on a regular basis. But
Next
He's
time
going to
you're
be
here,
at
you let us
GIE.
know.
but
So we'll see him at GIE.
yeah, you'll definitely see me at GIE, and the plan is to have coast-to-coast domination. So hopefully you'll see me in Florida
right.
a lot
You like
more.
how he's
Well, you have
using
to come to our event
domination?
that we have. We'd love to have you come over that way. It's great networking, meet with some other influencers and that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
And all right, well, let's just wrap it up then, since I got to run anyway. But Matt, tell them where they can find you. What's your website?
WinfordSolutions.com. It's WINFORD Solutions.com.
And so that's if I'm a customer and I'm looking to buy a mower, or if I'm a landscaper looking to talk to you, or anybody looking to talk to you about being a reseller or dealer or whatever you call it, that's where they should go.
Yep, absolutely. If you're talking about wanting to be a reseller, getting a license, if you click our drop-down list, it literally just says become a dealer. And you can select that, and then from there, it's just submit your information. We'll reach out to you, start an interview process, and decide how and if we want to move forward.
Awesome.
When it comes down to being a regular customer, it's simple as 1, 2, 3, and it is literally the first thing on my website. 1, contact us. 2, we walk your yard. 3, you get your mower. When it comes down to everybody else, when it comes down to commercial sites and government sites, typically we're going to have to set up a meeting. We're going to have to make a larger picture plan. When it comes down to cities and park districts, we have to do an entire master plan. And that's just the truth.
Safety issues and all are different.
It starts getting really complex once you get past 1,000 acres. So it's one thing to do like
You're doing properties that large.
We're negotiating with properties, and I've already got
That's
several of them
awesome.
that have already said yes, it's a done deal, but we're waiting on regulatory issues to clear up before we can move forward with installation.
That's an
See, now that's something I would love to talk more about. But we'll definitely have you on
The
again.
FAA literally wrote their rule book because of me.
That's a pretty cool claim to fame there.
I wish I didn't have it, though. I wish they would just let me install the mowers.
Jeez, yeah, right? All right. We have to save some stuff for the next time. Seriously, we will have you back, man.
Love you guys.
This would be awesome. So thank you. I mean, I'd loved hearing I love the entrepreneurial stuff, man. I like your drive. And
No,
like
me
the
and
way
you,
you do
we're going to
business.
talk about business a lot more.
Yeah, I
Because
like that.
I'm just addicted to business, and it wouldn't matter what business. You could get me to talk about business on any industry just because ever since I was a little kid, I've always been into it, and I'm fascinated about it.
That's
So
good. We'll have some good
definitely
talks
talk
because
more.
I enjoy business, but it stresses me out so much. I'm going to be honest with you, man, but okay.
All right, hey,
All right.
make sure you look this guy up on TikTok. It is Matt the Mower Guy.
Matt
Yep,
the Mower
Matt
guy.
the Mower Guy on TikTok. You can definitely follow my regular.
Oh my gosh, Google.
So it's Matt the Mower Guy on TikTok. You can definitely welcome to follow any of our social media for the business. It's Winford Solutions, winfordsolutions.com. Or my name is Matthew Patrick. I have a regular Facebook, believe it or not. You can follow that too.
Young guy on the Facebook. Thanks, Matt.
All right,
Good
guys.
having you, brother.
Anytime, guys.
All right, there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. Something certainly a lot different than what you're used to, but very, very interesting to me. My biggest thought there, or my biggest takeaway in the beginning, as you know, I kind of called out lawn professionals, you guys that are out there doing maintenance week in and week out, mowing lawns for folks. I really do think the future for you is in autonomous, and go into that kind of cell phone store model where you have the different models of mowers. You can lease those out to your customers. You can sell them to your customers. Every couple of years, they buy a new one, an upgraded one. And that's all on you. That's all something that you may even own a finance company one day because you're financing so many of these. And so, by the way, that's one of the secrets to how auto dealers make money. But you got to kind of think about retooling your business that way. Maybe if you're a dealer, this is something for dealers to get back into. I don't know, but you're still going to be on these properties, professionals. You're still going to be out there every week doing the edging and the weed whacking, which is the thing the homeowners even hate worse than mowing. So they're going to still have you around because they need that done. And then again, they need somebody to sharpen the blades, change the blades out because they do have to be changed every so often. And then honestly, the bigger threat even further threat that these robot mowers have is to you fertilizing folks out there, because lower cut lawns are going to naturally be less weedy. And I think that a reason that people call companies like True Green these days isn't necessarily to have the lawn green, but it's more because they want the weeds gone. And so a lawn that is literally cut every other day, even though it might have weeds in it, they don't show ever. And they do have less weeds anyway. So I don't know. We'll have to see. It's me throwing out some spitballs there again as I sit here on a Sunday afternoon, just chilling, hanging out at the office, and doing the thing I love, talking about lawn care. So I'd be interested to know what you all think. If you're on YouTube, leave me comments below. Otherwise, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or wherever else comments are sold. I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in the lawn.